When I set out on my journeys in search of the new nationalism, I never imagined the world out there could be so violent and chaotic. Nationalism is a language of blood, a call to arms, a call to sacrifice. But it's also a language of belonging, a call to come home. It feels good to be coming back to Britain, my adopted country. You can feel safe here, safe from nationalist violence. At least you can until your plane lands here. In mainland Britain, what it means to be British is a casual puzzle. Here in Belfast, it can be a matter of life or death. The illusion that Britain is an island of stability in a sea of troubles doesn't survive 10 minutes in this city. In the past 25 years, more people have died of nationalist violence in the United Kingdom than in any other democracy in the world. But Belfast is not Sarajevo, not yet anyway. It's a perfectly normal British city. In many ways, it's more British than the British. I'm not here to make another film about the Troubles. There have been enough of those. I'm here because Ulster is a kind of mirror in which you can see reflected images of Britishness which alarm and disturb mainland Britain. Because the British don't like to think of themselves as a nationalistic people. Patriotic perhaps, but not nationalistic. But here in Protestant Belfast, in the Loyalist sections of the community, I've come across a nationalism as fierce as anything I've run into on my journeys. And it's a British nationalism. I've come here in July because this is marching season, the climax of the year for Ulster Loyalists. The boys of Severn Street in East Belfast are building a bonfire for the 12th of July. Protestant paramilitaries stare benevolently down from the walls. Do all the work, or do some of the bigger boys help you too? Bigger boys do. And what do the bigger boys do? Stack it. They stack it. So you get it kind of like this, and then they come along and make it right up there? Right. Now what's this thing over here?
Hut.
And what's the hut for? Oh, you want to protect the bonfire? Is that what you do?
Yeah.
Now who's going to come after it?
Anyone.
Anyone?
Or bonfires.
Other bonfires? From the other streets, they might come and steal your stuff. So you have to stay up all night? And how long do you do that for?
Right up as well.
And why is the 12th such a big deal? Why is it important?
It was King Billy in the Battle of Boys.
It's King Billy in the battle, eh?
King of Holland or King of England.
Yeah.
And his army was called the Williamites, and he was fighting the Jacobites. That was King Charles's army or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was Catholics and Protestants,
yeah.
You might as well say, fighting each other over in Ireland, over Ireland.
Right, right.
Fighting each other in the Battle of Boyne.
Right.
And because King Billy won the Battle of Boyne, we celebrate it.
Yeah. And why do you celebrate it? Well, what does it mean to you?
Victory.
Victory. Victory over the Catholics. Right. King Billy is on everyone's lips in July. He's the founding father of Ulster loyalism, William of Orange, the Protestant conqueror who defeated Catholic King James at the Battle of the Boyne in 1690. In British history, the battle marks the victory of Protestant constitutional monarchy over Catholic absolutism. Mainland Britain has forgotten King William, but Ulster never forgets. It doesn't matter that the real William was a hunchback Dutchman who spoke little English and had even less interest in Ulster. Nationalism has airbrushed out the historical reality and placed King Billy at the center of a myth of Protestant supremacy. The official guardians of the myth are the Orange Order. Tommy Doyle is a Deputy Grand Master.
Tommy, now the most important thing about an Orangeman is his sash. First of all, why is it orange?
It stems back in the House of Orange. The house from which King William III came. And you know, as well as I know, that he was the victor at the Battle of the Boyne that gave us our civil and religious liberty.
So orange is a kind of color of freedom to you?
That is right.
Tommy, the Battle of the Boyne was 300 years ago. Why are you still keeping faith with that tradition?
I suppose it's a case of keeping it going year by year, and we have still got the strength to keep it going for another year and another year.
But what does it mean to you? Why does it matter?
Well, as I said to you, we have our basis of the battle in our civil religious liberty. For many years we hadn't got that. Even as Presbyterians we hadn't got it in this country. So we have it now. We can worship as we like, and we can do things as we like within the law.
If the Boyne is the decisive battle in Loyalist mythology, it's closely followed by the Somme. On the 1st of July, 1916, 5,500 Ulstermen died at the Somme. They died for Britain. Every year, the Orange Order remembers their sacrifice.
I was brought up at an age just after the First World War. I could say that in the street that I lived, lots of the houses had no fathers. I did not understand that. But later on in life, I realised that they had been killed in the First World War, and quite a few on the Somme. And if they were prepared at a very early age to give their lives, I feel that I give them my respect.
Britishness is made of things like this: the cenotaph, the poppy wreaths, the flags. Nowhere is the pageantry of Britishness more reverently observed than in Ulster. But there's a message in these rituals for mainland Britain. It's as if Ulstermen are saying, "We gave our lives for Britain. Don't desert us now."
A lot of people say to me, you know, the place to go to see Britishness like it doesn't exist anywhere is Northern Ireland. You're like a museum piece of a certain kind of Britishness, Tommy, that just, it's gone away.
When you say museum, do you think I'm more valuable than you? Well, I'm not sure as to whether I could answer that, other than the fact that the loyalty that we have, unswerving loyalty that we have to the Queen and the Queen Mother, I think it's just what we have been taught all our lives. That thing is never dying with us. We'll carry that to our grave. I don't doubt that in England as a slightly dissipated, but then England has got themselves diverse with all kinds of nationalities in recent years, and it's bound by their presence there to water down what was once as fervent support as we have here.
Later that evening, the Orange Order lets its hair down and throws a social night.
We walk on the 1st of July, knows all what it's all for. It's actually for all the Ulster men of Northern Ireland, of all religions, that fought in that day. And there's actually, don't forget, there was actually 5,000 killed and wounded on that first day of July. And that was of all religions of this province. I hope you all think about that. Thank you very much.
Rathcoole in North Belfast is the second largest housing estate in Europe. It's rock-solid Protestant working class. The local boys are painting the curbstones. It's an annual ritual, the marking out of ethnic territory.
Why are you doing this?
So we're Protestant.
These are the British colours. What makes them Protestant colours?
Ulster is British.
Yeah.
That's the colours Union Jack that they include.
Yeah. They don't do this on the mainland, though.
Must have lost their religion over there.
The British have forgot themselves that they're British. We try to remind them.
All right. Why have they forgot that they're British? Why do you think that?
They don't have any celebrations like we do over here.
Yeah. They ought to be painting their curb.
Having palm parades,
Yeah.
carrying the Union Jack.
The boys are members of the White Abbey Protestant Marching Band. Every day between now and the 12th, they're out rehearsing for the big day.
And why did you get into the band? Why did you want to get into it?
I don't really know. It's good to be in a band.
Yeah. Why is it good to be in a band?
Because you go in the band, to go in the band, like, go out in the 12th. That's, you don't care about any other place. Well, you do care about the other place, like, but the 12th's the great to do.
Yeah.
Because you get a real buzz out of everybody watching you. Yeah.
You get a buzz.
Yep.
For boys who can't get work, who live with sectarian division, this is a chance to express themselves. Here they belong.
But what is the 12th all about? I mean, what are you celebrating on the 12th? What's the tradition?
Battle of Boyne.
Yeah.
King Billy beat King James.
Yeah.
And we beat the other side. Just rub it in, tell them every year.
Yeah.
So
So it tells the Catholics we won. That's what it's saying.
right. And it annoys them when the band's out.
Yeah.
They try to get it rerouted and all.
Well, shouldn't it be rerouted?
No, because it's been the same route every year.
Yeah.
It's just recently they've tried to get them all rerouted.
Northern Ireland is British, so
Right.
they shouldn't be up on our side of the land.
Yeah. They shouldn't be here at all.
They should be down south where they belong.
Like everything else here, march routes are traditional, and rerouting them enrages the Protestant community. 4 days before I arrived, a riot broke out when police tried to divert a Loyalist march away from a Catholic area. The riot ended in tragedy. A Loyalist paramilitary tried to throw a grenade, but it went off in his hand, and he ended up killing himself. Last night, he was honored in traditional paramilitary style. Today, he's being buried. A paramilitary funeral is a strange, tense occasion. People line the Shankill Road, paying their respects to a gunman. Most people here detest the violence of the paramilitaries on both sides, yet they still turn out for funerals of their own. I can't sort out the mixture of fear, intimidation, and pride which locks paramilitaries and the community in such a deadly embrace. The police are out in force, but it's the paramilitaries who seem to be running the show. Men in suits approach and tell us it wouldn't be wise if we keep filming.
No, well, it's pointing that way. Yeah, no, no problem.
By the time we can film again, the cortege is on its way to the cemetery and a paramilitary funeral oration.
To suffer the malignment of our people, our culture, our history, this is cowardice. The Ulster volunteers who have made the ultimate sacrifice are testimony that this nation will be defended.
Two hours after the funeral, I drive into a bus jacking. A Loyalist gunman has just stopped the bus, ordered the people off, and lobbed in a petrol bomb. Belfast is burning. Rioting has started in all the main Loyalist areas of town, but there's nothing very spontaneous about it. It's being orchestrated by the Loyalist paramilitaries. This is a Britishness which swears allegiance to the crown in one hand and the petrol bomb in the other.
The burnt-out shells of many of the 38 vehicles set on fire last night are still on the streets in Loyalist areas. The disturbances lasted for 15 hours. The RUC say there was a series of carefully orchestrated and viciously sustained attacks on the police. At one stage they fired plastic bullets and one patrol returned fire during an attack.
At Severn Street, work on the bonfire has stopped. The boys are more interested in talking about the events of the night before.
What's been happening down here?
Grabbing out pillars, burning out cars, throwing petrol bombs to the police.
Yeah?
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
Stolen. Shots at them.
Yeah? Why is that going on? What's happening?
Because they're giving the Loyalist hassle.
Yeah. The police, you mean?
Oh, the police down here just smack you about and all the mad. There's nothing you can do about it.
Right.
I'm saying. And then if you try to take them up to court, you have no hope in hell.
Yeah.
Council.
But people say most of the police are Protestant like you. They should be on your side, right?
Oh, exactly. Smack me about.
Ladder?
Oh,
yes. For what? You must have done something wrong.
No. It says we were throwing stones at the tags.
Yeah.
Right? But we weren't.
They just come round the entry. Next thing, 4 or 5 has got it. They beat us with buttons and all.
But sometimes you do throw stones at the tags, right?
Yeah. Half done, many a time.
Yeah. Why? What are you doing?
Then, get on them.
Yeah.
Well, mate. They do the same. They break our windows and smash our churches and all up.
Yeah.
It's the same. When you go down there, you have to watch yourself. You walk past them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't know if anything could happen to you. Breeze block you or something.
Breeze block you.
Yeah. Well, then, the way you give you a head, drop a few breeze blocks in your head.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's not the nicest of things, like.
What about these guys over here on the wall here, these paramilitaries? What do they do around here?
What do you mean, what do they do?
Well, I hear people tell me, you know, that if one of you guys steals a car or something, or does something you shouldn't be doing.
You do shops, do houses, steal cars, you get kneecapped.
You get kneecapped. And that's sure. That's going to happen.
If you get caught, it'll happen.
Yeah.
You know for a fact. You'll get that or you get a head. You know what I mean? Baseball bats or whatever.
Right.
But it's more like you'll get shot, kneecap, through the back of the thigh, or you'll get shot in the thighs or the calf.
Yeah.
It's not actually all your kneecap, only in certain circumstances. The paramilitaries have to be seen to protect their own community.
Yeah.
From the likes of rogues, as we call it, thieves, whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They have to be seen to be protecting their own people.
Yeah.
So if there's anybody caught doing yard jumping or whatever, get kneecap.
Yeah. You scared of them?
Of course you're scared of them. You have to be scared of them. I mean, what can you can't go around facing the paramilitaries. I mean, you end up on the head.
At this point, I want to interview a loyalist paramilitary, because the violence and intimidation of paramilitarism runs like a red thread through everything I've seen here. But I can't do the interview. The government has its restrictions, and the BBC has told me there'd be too much public outrage if I did an interview with a loyalist paramilitary. Now, I find this very frustrating. You can't make a series about nationalism unless you confront men of violence, because nationalism ultimately is a justification of violence for political ends. And I've interviewed men of violence all over the world, but I can't do it here. So if Ulster is a mirror, you never confront its most disturbing reflection, a British nationalism that's turned to terror.
The violence erupted again on Saturday night. The RUC said it was orchestrated by sinister loyalist paramilitaries who condemned their own communities to strife, terror and destruction.
I leave Belfast for the day and drive south into County Armagh. It's a relief to be away from the claustrophobia of the city, but the beauty of the countryside is deceptive. They call this Bandit country. For years, the IRA have been picking off Protestant families here. Loyalists see themselves as victims of ethnic cleansing. Market Hill is an hour and a half from Belfast, a Protestant village in the heart of Bandit country. 2 years ago, the IRA blew up the main street. I've come to meet Dick Sterrett, who makes the lambeg drum, the biggest and loudest of Ulster's traditional drums. Dick learned the craft from his father, Ernie. Loyalism handed down from father to son. Oh, beautiful. Now every drum has a heart.
Yep.
I need a heart, so that if I've no heart, then they sound very bare. They need the weight and tone, and that's the heart in the drum. So
and people say to me that this is the heartbeat of Ulster. Now, why do they say that?
Well, it's the heartbeat of Ulster because it's been carried on down through generation upon generation in the Protestant tradition, along with Orangism. And that's why it's the heartbeat of Ulster. And while the drums remain, I always say there's always a chance that Ulster will remain.
They call you loyalist, Dick. What are you loyal to?
I'm loyal to the Crown. That's what I'm loyal to. I'm loyal to this country being kept a part of Britain. It's the way it should be. I can understand maybe you're feeling, I know you have an American accent, maybe this being Independence Day, 1776, you were saying you didn't want to be involved with the Crown, like, but this is our country. We want to stay loyal to the Crown. We want to be British. We don't want to be dictated to by a foreign country and told that we have to live the way they want us to live. We have our traditions. We can live at peace with anybody. Why can't they let us have our traditions? Whenever my father, God forbid, everybody has to die, but whenever my father leaves and dies, if I'm walking in Katy at a 12th March, I can say I can remember 40 years ago my father and me walking down here together at a march here. Everybody has their own wee memories, their own wee ties to all different whatever took place. And why, I can't understand why people can't realise that. It's part of tradition. We're steeped in history and tradition. Why let it go?
We've been sold out, you see. That's the point.
Why do you say that?
It's looking that way. That everybody's working against us. I don't know for why. But that's what it looks like when we listen to the news and watch and see. There's someone around there.
Dick takes me for a drive through Bandit country. We're heading further south toward the border with the Irish Republic.
Religion's the oldest thing in the world that people's fighting over it all the time. The funny thing about this, we're all worshipping the one God. They want the land, they want you out of it, and they don't care what means they use, and it's got down to just because you're Protestant, they're going to shoot you, you know. We're coming up now, Michael, to where Glenanne UDR barracks used to be. See, there's not much of it left, and these are the wreaths to commemorate the 3 men that lost their lives. It was a Saturday night, about 4 or 5 years ago, and had a tipping truck full of explosives, and they just brought her down in, and she rammed through and blew the whole place to smithereens. The British government had plans to close the base before the bomb. But I thought that as a statement to them men's lives, maybe they would have decided to keep the barracks open, but they didn't. Really, those men lost their lives for nothing at all.
I get the feeling you feel abandoned.
You do. You know, you say to yourself, like, what needs to happen in this country before Britain will stand in and take the same feelings over us as was taken over, say, the Falklands, you know? But we're very loyal people, loyal to the Crown, loyal to the mainland, but we don't seem to get it back again. It's all one-sided, you know, it doesn't come back. You know, it makes you wonder.
We must be getting close to the Republic now.
Yes, getting close to it now. So we are.
Do you ever go over there, Dick?
Oh, I do, surely. I've been over in the Republic many's a time. Take a drive up different times. Head to a few old race meetings and that.
Or you go to the race meetings down there, do you?
I fancy the horses something strong, you know. I like horses an awful lot.
So you go down south for the race meetings and you have a few drinks down there, but you just do not want to be part of the Republic. That's what I don't understand.
Well, I'm definitely not an Irishman. I'm an Ulster man. I want to stay in Northern Ireland and have Northern Ireland part of the United Kingdom. That's the way I've been brought up and the way the country has been and the way I want it to remain.
What's this here, Dick?
You're coming up to the border now, Michael.
This is the border?
This is the border, yep. As soon as you cross this wee bridge here, that's the River Fane. That divides the north from the south on the map. You're now on the south of Ireland. That's where you are. Bumpy the road now. There you are. Welcome to County Monaghan. I'm not too good at reading Irish, so I'll not even try, for it's not my native tongue.
Loyalists like Dick Sterrett are such a puzzle to me. They're so Irish in one way and so fiercely British in another. I came to Ulster looking for a mirror to see what Britishness would look like when it's been stretched on the rack of 20 years of a dirty war. And now I'm not so sure what I'm seeing, because the more British the Loyalists become, the less they're recognized as British on the mainland. And that leaves a tremendous edge of bitterness in loyalism. A man like Dick Sterrett says to me, I know what I'm loyal to. I want to know what the British are loyal to.
The UFF attacked the mainly Catholic Ancient Order of Hibernian Social Club at Longstone Street.
Back in Belfast, a third night of rioting takes place.
The police are questioning a man about the attack. Elsewhere, once again, the RUC were attacked with petrol bombs. The violence wasn't as serious as the night before, but it was more widespread.
Suddenly, the rioting stops. Belfast's wildest weekend in a decade is over. For 3 days, the Loyalist community has unleashed its anger. Now it concentrates on preparing for the 12th. At Severn Street, the bonfire building resumes. Day by day, the stack of pallets rises higher. In Market Hill, Dick and Ernie raised the Union Jack on their house, only to have it stolen the next day. And in Rathcoole, the band have their last rehearsal at the local youth club. When the drums start, the sound echoes off the walls. It's deafening. Two days to go, and I've come to Scarva, a village near Market Hill. Dick Sterrett has invited me down to see a lambeg drum competition. Like bulls in a country fair, the drums are paraded through the car park of the local Orange Lodge. All I can hear is noise, but those in the know are listening to the harmonies of the drum's heart. It's the sound of that heartbeat which is being judged, not the performance of the drummer. But this is also a social event. drummers past and present get together in the lodge to share stories and a whiskey or two. Somehow the contest is terribly revealing about Loyalist culture. The lambeg is a wonderful drum, but for 300 years its rhythm has never changed.
We live in a land where we enjoy, or I hope we do, those things for which this venerable order has historically stood.
On the last Sunday before the 12th, the Orange Order always holds a Thanksgiving service. This is the respectable, aging face of loyalism.
The subject of freedom or liberty is one which seems to be on almost everyone's lips these days. We hear it on the lips of politicians in Africa, in South America, in Eastern Europe, and even the propagandists of the IRA have claimed it as their own. But to Protestants, the word liberty has a special meaning.
At the same time, the wilder, younger face of loyalism is celebrating in Severn Street. The bonfire is ready. On top flies the Irish tricolour, awaiting the flames.
We live in a land where our actions are free. You and I can choose to go where we please, to do what we want, and to choose for ourselves how we will spend our time. But I must add this, friends. You can be a citizen of a free country and yet still be a slave. As the Bible puts it, a slave of sin. You can have all these temporal blessings and yet be captive to the devil.
An effigy of the Pope is carried to the top of the funeral pyre.
Fellow Protestant, be watchful against the insidious advances of popish error and despotism. You be faithful to your country, to your religion, to your God.
At midnight, the bonfire ignites. The 12th is finally here. When the enemy's flag goes up in flames, the crowd roars its approval. As it was with Serbs and Croats, so it is with Loyalists and Republicans. The hatred of brothers runs deeper than the hatred of strangers. We've known this since Cain slew Abel.
Some years ago the Pope was up in the Free State. Yes. And they got the message over to their own Catholic Church was to increase their families. And after they had the year's census taken, friends, do you know, friends, what was there? There was 172,000 newborn babies in the Church of Rome, and they're breeding like rats. That's what they're doing today. And they're going to take over. And so, men, waking up. I'm never preaching the gospel. I'm almost 84, friends, and I'm ready to get back against anything.
There's a form of belonging here more ritualized than any I've seen on my travels. I feel like an archaeologist uncovering layer after layer of forgotten British history. As an expatriate, I've always been envious of belonging. To have roots, know your history, have a sense of destiny. These are attractive. When cosmopolitans talk blithely about moving beyond nationalism, they underestimate the desire, the need to belong. But there's also something sad here. The people wave their flags and bang their drums, but deep down they fear that time is running out. They fear the day when Catholics become a majority in Northern Ireland and Protestants cease to be masters in their own house. They fear the day the British government decides enough is enough and pulls out. What happens to a nationalism cut off from the mainland? It ceases to be a claim that must be honored. It becomes a caricature that can be disowned. That's the tragedy of loyalism. If they are abandoned, it won't be because they lacked loyalty, but because they were too loyal. Loyal to a past the British have left behind. The final destination for the march is a large field outside Belfast. It's meant to symbolize the battlefield at the Boyne, and that's exactly what it looks like, a battlefield after a battle.
So-called siege mentality.
But our message today...
And in one corner of the field, a preacher drones on, preaching the same old sermon to the converted.
Let them now stand back and see the great emergence of British and Protestant Ulster out of the siege. By the grace of God, the great escape is now underway. That is the message. Belfast is the city and Ulster is the province which refuse to die. Protestants are the people who can make Ulster great and also bring true greatness back to Britain again, the greatness which Britain has so sadly lost. Amen.
This field is where my journey ends. It's taken me from the safe and secure world of the nation-states I grew up in the era of the Cold War, to the dangerous world of the new nations being created by the gunmen and the warlords. And everywhere I've been, I've felt there's been a struggle between two conceptions of the nation, between those who are fighting for a nation that would be open to all, regardless of your race, your creed, your color, and your language, and those who are fighting for a nation only for their own. It's a conflict between an ethnic conception of a nation and a civic conception of a nation. And in that struggle, I know where I stand, but I also know who's winning.